My name is Rachel Alderman. I am 44 years old, and the first time my husband charged a personal expense to our joint account without telling me, it was $340 for a weekend golf outing with his college roommate. That was 11 years ago. By the time I stopped counting, the total had reached $273,000. I know this because I counted every dollar twice. The call came on a Wednesday at 4:12 in the afternoon. I was sitting in the parking lot of an orthopedic clinic on the east side of town, my laptop balanced on my knees, reviewing post-surgical complication rates for a malpractice file. My phone buzzed against the center console. "Nathan," I picked up without looking away from the screen. "I froze the visa," he said. The way someone might say, "I fed the dog." I heard his mother's voice in the background before she took the phone entirely. "It's frozen until you learn how a household is supposed to run." I didn't answer. My hand was resting on the laptop keyboard, and I noticed my ring finger had gone still over the F key. The cursor blinked 3 times. I was already calculating, not the balance on the card, the balance of 11 years. Noted. That was their 4th correction. I had already cataloged the first 3. Before I lay out what I found, and what it cost them when I did, I want to know something. What time is it where you are? I've learned to note the time of things. It matters more than people realize. I should tell you what I do for a living, because it's the reason any of this unfolded the way it did. I'm a medical litigation analyst. My firm contracts with insurance carriers and law offices to reconstruct what went wrong in hospitals, missed diagnoses, surgical errors, falsified records, billing fraud. I don't practice medicine. I read the wreckage afterward. I spend my days cross-referencing procedure codes against operative reports, matching timestamps on electronic health records to nurse shift logs, pulling metadata from files that someone assumed were deleted. The thing about medical fraud is that it's almost never obvious. The numbers are close. The dates are plausible. The signatures look right. My job is to find the one digit that doesn't belong and follow it backward until the entire structure comes apart. That skill had exposed $14 million in fraudulent billing across 6 hospital systems over the past decade. It was about to do the same thing to my own family's finances. Nathan and I married when I was 33. He was 35, already running a mid-sized commercial HVAC company he'd inherited from his father. The business was solid: 22 employees, municipal contracts, a fleet of service vans with his last name painted across every door. He wore that name like armor. Alderman Mechanical. It meant something in our county. It meant his father had built something real, and Nathan had kept it standing. I respected that, genuinely. When we met, I was finishing a contract with a hospital network in Virginia, living out of a suitcase 5 days a week. Nathan was the first person who made staying in one place feel like something I wanted. We bought a house 8 months after our wedding, had our daughter Margot the following spring. Our son Caleb arrived 2 years later. Life settled into the rhythm of school drop-offs and Saturday morning soccer games and mortgage payments that arrived like clockwork because I made sure they did. Nathan's mother, Gloria, had been part of the architecture from the start. She lived 14 minutes away in the house where Nathan grew up. After his father died, this was 2 years into our marriage, she started coming over more, Tuesdays, then Tuesdays and Thursdays, then most days. She had a key. She had opinions about how the dishwasher should be loaded, which brand of paper towels was wasteful, whether Margot needed a second dance class, or whether the money would be better saved. I didn't fight it. I understood grief makes people grasp for structure. And Nathan adored his mother. He listened to her the way some men listen to coaches, not because they agree with every call, but because questioning the authority feels like betrayal. The first real incident happened on a Saturday in October, 3 years into the marriage. I had ordered new winter coats for both children online. Nothing extravagant, $55 for Margot's, $48 for Caleb's. Gloria saw the shipping box on the porch before I did. She opened it, not by mistake. She carried both coats into the kitchen and laid them across the counter like evidence. "You paid full price for these?" I stared at her. They were on sale. A good wife checks with her husband before spending on the children. Nathan was standing by the refrigerator. He said nothing, not a word. He opened a bottle of water and walked into the garage. That silence cost me $103 worth of dignity. I logged it without realizing I was logging it. That brought the total to $443, and we were only in year 3. I kept records of all of it. Not because I planned to use them, because that's what I do, I track things. Before I take you through what those records show, tell me, what time is it where you are? Because I remember the time of every single incident in this list. Over the next several years, the pattern compounded. Every quarter, sometimes every month, there was a new charge, a new demand, a new correction from Gloria that Nathan endorsed with his silence, or, increasingly, with his voice. Year 4, Gloria convinced Nathan that my personal gym membership was indulgent. He canceled it without telling me. $720 annually. I found out when my key fob stopped working at the front desk. Year 5, I signed Margot up for a week-long science camp at the State University. $1,200. Gloria called it unnecessary for a girl who would probably end up in business anyway. Nathan asked me to get a refund. I refused. He sulked for 9 days. The money stayed spent, but the resentment it purchased lasted much longer. Year 6, Nathan's company had a brutal winter. 3 municipal contracts were delayed. He came home one evening, looking like he'd swallowed glass. We're short on payroll. I transferred $18,500 from my personal savings into the business operating account that night. He never mentioned it again. Neither did Gloria. Neither of them knew where the money came from. They assumed the bank had extended a line of credit. I let them assume. That brought the running total to $47,200 in direct financial contributions and redirected personal funds, and we were only in year 6. The irony was that I spent my professional life identifying patterns of financial manipulation in institutional systems, hospitals cooking their books, administrators burying expenses in departmental budgets to hide personal spending. Turns out I had married into the same architecture I was paid to dismantle. I just kept calling it family. Year 7, Caleb needed braces. $5,400. Gloria suggested we shop around for a cheaper orthodontist. I paid the bill from my personal account and told no one. $38,000 financed through the business, which meant the payments came from an account I had been quietly supplementing for years. Gloria thought it was a wonderful idea. A man needs recreation. No one asked whether I needed recreation. No one asked whether I wanted a boat. The boat was used 11 times in 3 years before Nathan sold it at a $16,000 loss. I absorbed that loss through reduced transfers to my own retirement fund. I didn't mention it. That brought the total to $112,600, and we were only in year 8. Year 9, the kitchen renovation. Gloria had wanted one for years, not for her own kitchen, for mine. She and Nathan planned it together over a weekend while I was traveling for a deposition in Atlanta. I came home to find the countertops had been torn out. The estimate was $41,000. The actual cost, after Gloria's upgrades, marble backsplash, farmhouse sink, cabinet hardware she'd chosen from a catalog, came to $57,300. I paid for the overrun from my litigation bonus. Nathan thanked his mother for her design eye. He thanked me for being flexible. Year 10, the property taxes increased. Nathan was surprised. I was not. I had projected the reassessment 8 months earlier and set aside the difference. When the bill arrived, Nathan panicked. I covered it. $4,800. He assumed the escrow account had handled it. It hadn't. I had. That brought the total to $174,700. And we were only in year 10. I'm going to take you through the rest of this year by year. But first, drop your location in the comments. I want to know how many people are watching someone finally read the numbers out loud. Year 11 brought the incident that changed everything. The laptop purchase that apparently crossed a line I didn't know existed. Caleb's school had transitioned to a digital curriculum. His tablet, a hand-me-down from Margot, could barely load the learning platform. I researched options for 2 weeks, waited for a back-to-school promotion, and bought a mid-range laptop for $689 on the family visa. A perfectly ordinary purchase for a child's education. Gloria saw the notification on Nathan's phone before he did. She was sitting beside him on the couch when it appeared. By 4:12 the next afternoon, my credit card was frozen, and two people who had never once questioned a boat purchase or a kitchen renovation had decided that a 13-year-old's laptop was where fiscal responsibility finally needed to begin. When I ended that call in the parking lot of the orthopedic clinic, I sat very still for a long time. My laptop screen had gone dark. I could see my own reflection in it, a woman in a navy blazer with reading glasses pushed up on her head, holding a phone that had just delivered the most clarifying sentence of her marriage. Something in me was running numbers I hadn't asked it to run, not anger, something colder. Something that moved through columns and rows and years, the way I moved through hospital billing records when I knew, before I could prove it, that someone had been stealing. I separated every account that bore only my name. I redirected my direct deposit. I terminated the automatic transfers that had been flowing into Nathan's business account and our household account for over a decade. I removed my name from two personal guarantees I had co-signed for his equipment loans. I did not close any joint accounts. I did not move money that belonged to both of us. I simply stopped adding mine. The branch manager, a woman named Denise Okafor, processed everything with quiet efficiency. She had handled my accounts for 7 years. She did not ask why. She did not need to. When I walked out of that bank, my phone showed 19 missed calls. By midnight, it would show 63. But I wasn't done counting, because the $689 laptop was not what made me drive to the bank. It was the total I had been carrying for 11 years without ever writing it down in one place. That night, while Nathan paced downstairs and Gloria called my phone every 20 minutes, I sat at my desk and opened a spreadsheet, not the kind I use for clients, the kind I use for investigations. Every transfer, every payment made from my personal funds, every bonus redirected, every retirement contribution I had deferred, every expense I had absorbed silently. I cross-referenced bank statements against calendar dates, against household bills, against Nathan's business filings. I pulled archived transaction records from 3 different institutions. I matched amounts to the corresponding demands, comments, or crises that had prompted them. The total, when I finished at 2:40 in the morning, was $273,016. I printed the spreadsheet, 41 pages. I placed it inside a manila folder and set it on my desk beside a cold cup of coffee I had poured 4 hours earlier and never touched. Then I opened a second file, Nathan's business tax returns for the past 7 years, which I had prepared myself. I compared the revenue figures against the deposits in the operating account. The discrepancy was immediate. In 4 of those 7 years, the operating account showed deposits that exceeded reported business revenue. The difference in each case matched, almost exactly, the transfers I had made from my personal accounts. Almost exactly, but not perfectly. In year 8, the deposit was $2,300 more than what I had transferred. In year 9, the discrepancy was $4,100. I pulled the source documents. The excess amounts traced to a secondary account I had never seen, an account at a regional bank 40 minutes from our house, opened under Nathan's name alone. The routing number didn't match any institution we used. The deposits into this account came from the Alderman Mechanical operating account in small, irregular amounts, $600 here, $900 there, across 37 months. The total in that hidden account, per the most recent statement I could locate in Nathan's home office filing cabinet, was $83,400. That was the one thing the total didn't account for. I sat at that desk holding the statement until the ink from my thumb left a smudge on the paper. $83,000. Moved quietly out of the business I had been subsidizing for years into an account I wasn't supposed to know about. The transfers started 18 months after Gloria moved to her current house, the house Nathan had helped her buy. I pulled Gloria's property records. The down payment on her house was $80,000. The closing date matched the period of the heaviest transfers from the hidden account. He hadn't just been taking my money, he had been laundering it through his own business and using it to fund his mother's house. While his mother sat in my kitchen telling me I spent too much on coffee beans. Layer by layer, I documented everything. The original bank statements showing my personal transfers into the business. The operating account records showing the excess deposits that couldn't be explained by revenue. The hidden account statements. the wire transfer to the title company for Gloria's down payment, the property deed, the tax returns I had prepared, which did not reflect the hidden account because Nathan had never disclosed it to me. The almost correct flaw was in the tax filings. Nathan's accountant had prepared amended returns for 2 of those years to account for additional business expenses. The amendments were clean, proper formatting, correct EIN, accurate line items, but the preparer's TEMS on the amended returns didn't match the TEMS on the original filings. The originals bore my firm's taxpayer identification number because I had prepared them. The amendments bore a different number, one belonging to a sole practitioner I'd never heard of. Someone had prepared amended returns to cover the transfers, and they hadn't used me to do it, because I would have caught the discrepancy in 14 seconds. I called the IRS practitioner hotline the next morning and verified the TEMS. The preparer was a bookkeeper named Dale Maura, who operated out of a strip mall office in the next county. I didn't confront Dale. I didn't need to. The metadata on the amended returns, which Nathan had stored as PDFs on the family desktop computer, showed they had been created on Gloria's laptop. The author field read, G. Alderman. Gloria hadn't just encouraged Nathan to control my spending. She had helped him hide where my money was actually going. The confrontation happened on a Sunday. Nathan had been asking to talk for 3 days. I told him I wasn't ready. When I finally agreed, I chose the location carefully. Gloria's house, the one my money built. I told Nathan I wanted to have the conversation with his mother present. He agreed, thinking this was about reconciliation. Gloria opened her front door, wearing a cream cardigan and an expression of rehearsed concern. Her living room was immaculate, hardwood floors, bay window, a framed photograph of Nathan's father above the fireplace. She had arranged fresh flowers on the mantel. She wanted this room to feel like authority. She believed she controlled this space. I sat down on the sofa and placed the manila folder on the coffee table. "What's that?" Nathan asked. 11 years. He frowned. Gloria crossed her arms. Neither of them reached for it. I opened it myself and slid the first page across the table. The spreadsheet summary. 41 pages condensed into a single column of dates, amounts, and descriptions. "This is every dollar I personally contributed to our household and your business over the past 11 years, I said. "The total is $273,016. Nathan picked up the page. His eyes moved down the column. I watched the color leave his face the way I've watched witnesses read documents during depositions, the slow, involuntary recognition that the person sitting across from them has already done the math. Gloria leaned forward. "Married couples share finances. That's not unusual." I didn't respond to her. I slid the second document across. Nathan's operating account records with the unexplained deposits highlighted in yellow. "These deposits don't match your business revenue," I said. "They match my transfers plus additional amounts routed through a secondary account." Nathan set the first page down. "I can explain that. You can try." He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "The business needed a buffer account for cash flow. The account was opened in your name only, at a bank we don't use, and you never disclosed it to me or to the accountant who prepared your taxes." I paused. The accountant being me. Gloria uncrossed her arms. "This is all very dramatic, Rachel, but finances in a marriage are complicated. You're making it sound like a crime." "I haven't described a crime yet," I said. "I'm still on the spreadsheet." I placed the third document on the table, the hidden account statements. 37 months of irregular deposits totaling $83,400. Nathan stared at the pages. He didn't pick them up. "Where did this money go?" I asked. He said nothing. Gloria shifted in her chair. "Nathan, you don't have to answer that." I laid the fourth document beside the others. The wire transfer confirmation to the title company, the property deed for this house, the closing statement showing an $80,000 down payment made from the hidden account. The room went silent. Gloria looked at the deed, then at Nathan, then at me. Her face performed 3 expressions in rapid succession: confusion, recognition, and something I can only describe as the moment a person realizes the ground they're standing on belongs to someone else. "You used my transfers to fund your business surplus," I said, looking at Nathan. "Then you moved the surplus into a hidden account, then you used that account to buy your mother's house, while your mother sat in my kitchen telling me I was wasteful for buying my daughter a homecoming dress. Nathan's voice came out thin. It wasn't like that. Then tell me what it was like. Mom needed help. Dad didn't leave her enough. I was trying to take care of her with my money, without telling me, while she monitored my grocery receipts. Gloria stood up. I think we should all calm down. I am calm, I said. And I was. I had been calm since 2:40 that morning when the spreadsheet finished populating. Sit down, Gloria. She sat. I think Rachel is doing this because she's angry about the credit card, Gloria said, turning to Nathan. This is retaliation. This is an audit. You've always been dramatic about money. I looked at her. Gloria, the amended tax returns that were filed to cover the hidden account transfers were created on your personal laptop. The author field in the document properties says G. Alderman. You helped him do this. Gloria's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Nathan put his head in his hands. After everything I've done for this family, Gloria said, her voice rising, I gave up my independence to help raise those children. You gave up nothing, I said. You moved into a house I paid for, criticized the money I earned, and helped your son hide it in an account I was never meant to find. The doorbell rang. Nathan looked up. Gloria didn't move. I had asked one person to be here. Denise Okafor, my branch manager, who had brought notarized copies of every account separation I had executed, along with a formal letter from the bank confirming the guarantor removal from Nathan's business loans that now lacked sufficient collateral without my assets backing them. I had not planned for Denise to speak, but when Gloria looked at the notarized documents and said, anyone can fabricate bank records, Denise set her briefcase on the coffee table and said, with the flat authority of someone who had worked in commercial banking for 22 years, Mrs. Alderman, I personally processed these transactions. Every document you're looking at is certified and on file with our compliance department. Gloria did not speak again for a long time. Nathan looked at me across the coffee table, covered in 11 years of arithmetic. Rachel, please. I delivered the only sentence I had prepared. Nathan, you didn't manage our finances. You let your mother build a house out of my silence. I did not elaborate. The documents were still on the table. The room was still. Even the flowers on the mantel seemed to lean slightly away from the light. The consequences arrived the way consequences always do, not all at once, but in a sequence that felt less like punishment and more like gravity finally being allowed to work. Within 2 weeks, Nathan's business credit lines were flagged for review after the bank discovered the guarantor removal. His lender required replacement collateral he couldn't provide. 2 municipal contracts that were pending renewal were paused while the company's financial standing was reassessed. By the end of the month, Alderman Mechanical had lost one of those contracts entirely. The company logo on the service vans, which had once made Nathan stand straighter, now represented an enterprise that couldn't secure its own operating line without his wife's name underneath it. Gloria's house, the house on the bay window street with the hardwood floors and the fresh flowers, became the subject of a formal financial disclosure in my divorce filing. My attorney, a woman named Priya Dasgupta, who specialized in forensic asset recovery, filed a motion to trace the down payment funds to their marital origin. The court granted discovery. Gloria received a subpoena for her financial records on a Tuesday morning. She called Nathan 17 times that day. He answered once. Dale Mowry, the bookkeeper who had prepared the amended returns on Gloria's laptop, voluntarily surrendered his preparer registration after my attorney's office sent a letter of inquiry. He was not charged with a crime. He simply ceased to exist professionally, the way small enablers do when the structure they supported collapses. Not because I demanded it, because the marriage counselor we had briefly seen together told him, in her measured clinical voice, that reconciliation required accountability, and accountability required separation long enough for him to understand what he had actually done. He rented an apartment 11 minutes away. The first month's rent came from his own checking account, which now contained only what his business generated. It was enough, barely. Margot, who was 16 by then, asked to stay with me full-time. I told her that both her parents loved her and that the arrangement would be fair. She looked at me with an expression I recognized, the same still assessment I used when reading a document I already knew was falsified. I know, Mom, she said, but I want to be where the truth lives. I held her for a long time and didn't correct her. Caleb, quieter about the whole thing, did something I didn't expect. He wrote Nathan a letter, I never read it. Nathan told me later, during one of our increasingly civil co-parenting conversations, that Caleb had written, "I don't need a new laptop. I needed you to not lie about where the money goes." Nathan cried when he told me this. I believed his tears. I also believed they were insufficient. Gloria underwent her own slow reckoning. The house, her monument, her proof of her son's devotion, was now a documented liability in a divorce proceeding. The equity was frozen pending asset division. She could live there, but she could not sell, refinance, or borrow against it. The house that was supposed to represent security became a cage she had built with someone else's money. But something unexpected happened over the following months. Gloria began attending a grief counseling group at her church, not because I asked her to, because Margot asked her to. My daughter, who had every reason to be angry, sat across from her grandmother at a diner 6 weeks after the confrontation and said, "Grandma, I think you were really lonely and really scared, and I think you handled it badly." Gloria cried into her napkin for 10 minutes. Margot sat with her and did not look away. 3 months later, Gloria sent me a handwritten letter. It was 4 pages long. It did not make excuses. It named specific incidents: the grocery bags, the homecoming dress, the laptop, the credit card. It named what she had done with the amended returns. It ended with a sentence I did not expect. "I don't know how to earn back what I helped take from you, but I am trying to become someone who wouldn't have taken it in the first place." I read the letter twice. I put it in a drawer. I have not written back. I don't know if I will. Some apologies are real and still leave a space that words can't fill. I am learning to be okay with that. The divorce was finalized 8 months after the confrontation. The settlement included full restitution of the traced funds, a structured buyout of my interest in the marital home, and a provision that Gloria's house equity would be divided as a marital asset since the down payment originated from marital funds I had earned. Nathan agreed to every term. His attorney advised him to fight. He declined. She was right, he told Priya during the final mediation, about all of it. I did not feel triumphant. I felt like a woman standing in a field after a long storm, checking her pockets to see what she still carried. What I carried was this: my practice, my clients, my professional reputation, and 2 children who understood that honesty is not a weapon, it is a foundation. I also carried a number, the same number from the beginning, $273,016. Except now, instead of representing what I had given away in silence, it represented the exact amount I redirected into a trust for Margot and Caleb's education, housing, and future. Every dollar accounted for, every dollar recovered. Every dollar assigned to someone who would never have to wonder where it came from. I want to say something about totals. Not the kind that live in spreadsheets. The kind that live in your chest, in the place where you store everything you absorbed because fighting felt harder than carrying. A running total doesn't announce itself. It grows in increments so small you barely notice. A $340 golf weekend. A canceled gym membership. A kitchen renovation you didn't choose. A hidden account you weren't supposed to find. Each one, by itself, feels survivable. That's the trick. The individual amount is always survivable. It's the total that breaks something. But here's what the numbers couldn't capture. They couldn't capture the morning I sat in my car outside the orthodontist's office and cried for 11 minutes because I was tired of being the only person who noticed what things cost. They couldn't capture the evening Caleb whispered to Margot, "Don't ask Mom for anything this week, Dad's in a bad mood about money." They couldn't capture the weight of being simultaneously essential and invisible. A total is just arithmetic. What it represents is a life spent believing that if you just carried enough, quietly enough, for long enough, someone would eventually see you. The numbers taught me that no one sees what they've decided not to count, and freedom from the pattern, the thing I built after I stopped carrying, doesn't show up on a balance sheet either. It shows up in the way I pour my coffee in the morning without anyone asking what it cost. It shows up in the way Margot talks about money with confidence instead of fear. It shows up in the fact that I slept through the night last Tuesday for the first time in a year, and when I woke up, the house was quiet, and the quiet belonged to me. Last Saturday, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, reviewing the Children's Education Trust. The balance had grown modestly from the initial deposit, dividends, interest, the patient arithmetic of money left alone to work. The number on the screen was $273,016, the same figure. Exactly. Except this time, it wasn't a record of what I'd lost. It was a record of what I'd built. No one else was in the room. No one needed to approve it. No one questioned it. I closed the laptop and finished my coffee.